Today I wanted to talk about my life and the lessons that I have learned in 40 years. My 41st birthday is approaching on Monday, and so I wanted to kind of reflect and share upon some of the things that I've stumbled on or uncovered or revealed that have made me enjoy, appreciate, celebrate life more as I go. I really believe that life just gets better and better, and it is because of this wisdom, it is because of the relaxing of some tensions and the unveiling of hidden mysteries and joys that I think that it makes it so. Okay, so what are some of these things? What are some of these grand lessons? Well, I could start with some silly ones, like never wear flip-flops to the airport, because when you have to take off your shoes, then you're kind of doomed to get athlete's foot. Did I ever get athlete's foot from the airport? Yes, I did. And even though I would like to think of myself as an athlete, I would prefer, like a jersey or a trophy over athlete's foot. But anyways, I'm getting off track. What I really wanted to share is some of the, I think, deeper things. And I'll start with gratitude. Gratitude has been the major tool in clearing the way. It's the machete, it's the hammer, it's the screwdriver. It is the tool that has gotten me through everything. Gratitude helps you to reset your baseline, helps you to appreciate what's in your life. It makes everything that's there already better. If you wish you had more, you're poor. If you're happy with what you have, you're rich. Learning that is far easier than acquiring massive riches. Maybe it's not easier now that I think about it, but it's far more valuable, because every mountain of riches, if you are in the mindset of it's not enough, the mountain will always need to be bigger, always need to be bigger. And you see people in the world all the time with more money than they could ever spend or even probably give away, and yet they keep going to the office because they have not learned that significant lesson of gratitude. I try to give thanks at every meal. It's something that I learned from my grandfather. Every time I have a meal with somebody else, and try to do it with myself as well, is hold hands and say grace. And in that, I'm simply saying thank you, reminding myself to be appreciative of the things that I have, the people in my life, the opportunities. And then I kind of throw in a, universe, help me to focus on all that's good. Help me to spread love and joy in the world. And when I say universe, I'm really just personifying my higher self. I just saw a quote by John Milton today. It said, "Gratitude bestows reverence, allowing us to encounter everyday epiphanies, those transcendent moments of awe that change forever how we experience life and the world." Isn't that it? The world, if you can snap back, is amazing. You don't have to go far. You can walk around your block and see flowers and trees and insects and dogs and children and sky and clouds. I mean, we are overwhelmed with amazing things. It's so overwhelming that if you don't practice gratitude, if you don't practice being present, you stop seeing it. And you start only seeing the things that get like knocking you on the head, the injuries, the bad news, the broken things. But gratitude pulls you back so that the miracles just but if you don't practice it, you miss. Okay, and that's number 2 on my list, is that life is practice. Most powerful lesson of my last probably 10 years was from when I first started to dabble in yoga, which is that it is a practice. There is no objective, there is no belt that you earn, there is no title that you get. You simply are there to practice. And when you can see everything in life in those same terms, you can be present and enjoy the now. The now is not something that's happening to get you there. The now is happening because that is where life happens. And when you practice, when you remember that you need to practice, it can snap you out of that linear belief about life. Everything that is worth having in your life needs to be practiced. Your health, your hygiene, your mental state. People understand that if you want to stay in a healthy body, you need to exercise. You wouldn't get to your ideal body weight and then say, sweet, I did it. What's next? You got to keep exercising. And the same is true with your mental state and your happiness and your joy. You need to practice gratitude. You need to practice thoughts, ideas, things, gratitude lists, whatever it is that makes you happy. Everything in life is a practice. If you are not enjoying something, if you are not having the relationships that you want, if you're not having work thing that you want, if you're not having feelings that you like, you need to practice in that area. And really start seeing everything as a practice. There is no finish line. You could say death is a finish line, but we finish line in the terms of like sacrificing the now so that you can get to that. We get tricked into that. Ideas such as retirement, where we sacrifice the now because we're going to be happy then. But life doesn't work that way. Alan Watts talks about that we think of life as this kind of race, but it is much more like a dance or a piece of music. And a piece of music is not about how it ends. Otherwise, music would just be crescendos. It's the play. It's the ups and downs. It's the tension and the flow, and that's what life is. And when you can take it as a practice, you can appreciate all the pieces of it, not just the grand ones, not just the good ones. You can appreciate all of it. A couple days ago, my friend Sunrise passed on some advice that her grandmother gave her. Number 3 is, life doesn't get any easier, you get better at it. I love that. And I think that it's an important recognition, that there's always going to be struggles. There's always going to be cycles. You're always going to have high moments and down moments. But as you go through it more and more times, you start to build the experience so that down times seem less tragic and you can kind of get through them quicker. For 10 plus years, I was medicated for depression and anxiety. And during that time, when I was not medicated, my depressions were prolonged and intense and felt like I had no control over this darkness. And over years of study and practicing, being more positive, practicing my discipline, my thoughts, and questioning my thoughts, I was able to allow the down cycles to go through quicker and better. And a huge part of that was distinguishing that you do not have to believe your thoughts. I'm kind of getting ahead on my list, so let me just see if in terms of life doesn't get any better, you get better at it. I found that there's really a couple ways that you can divide perspectives of the world. And if you are one of the people that has figured out that life doesn't get any better than it is right now, you are in a huge advantage, and it becomes very difficult to interact with people that are in the mindset of life is going to be awesome as soon as I get this, as soon as I get that money, as soon as I get that partner, as soon as I get that job, as soon as I lose that weight. When we fall into that trap, and there's all sorts of marketing and societal messages that try to get us into that trap, we lose the now. We lose the awareness of the amazing things that are happening right now. And so when you can snap back into, it's not going to get any better, then it becomes a process of, well, how can I either change things right now or change my mind about them? Life gets awesome when you just go, okay, this is what there is. What can I find here that's amazing? Byron Katie's whole the work process in her book, Loving What Is. It's that shifting our thoughts from torturing us and wishing things were different to coming back into, this is what it is. How can I love it? How can I find a way to love this? Now, if you can start to notice when you are thinking, I wish things were different, that's another huge help. Anytime you wish things were different, you're in this trap. You're causing yourself suffering. Now, be aware of it, because you could wish things were different, meaning the sun is beating on me, I'm starting to get sunburned, I wish things were different. Now you have two choices. Well, you have three choices. The first is keep wishing things were different and suffer while it's happening. That's what I'm advising we not do. The other two are make a change if you can. God grant me the wisdom to know the difference. If you can make a change, get out of the sun, put on sunscreen. And the last one is find a way to just, okay, I'm going to get some color on my face today. It feels nice and hot. I can imagine the sun. I'm going to get vitamin D. But becoming aware of when you're thinking, I wish things were different, will help you see when you are in a state of suffering and have choices about that. Okay, kind of mentioned number 4, which was embrace the cycles, that you're going to have downtimes. I have learned by being critical of my thoughts. I know through many years of this, I can feel physically when I'm not in a good mental state. I feel different. And I have learned what works best for me to get through the cycle quickest. For me, it's not hitting it head on. It's not trying to convince myself that, oh, this is, for me, it's usually a distraction. It's like, when things are good, I try to grasp onto life and squeeze the juice out of it. And when things don't feel good, I try to like hold on as lightly as possible and just go, okay, let's get through this, let's get through this, let's not spend too much time anywhere, let's just get through it. That has allowed me to have those cycles go much quicker, and I feel less like it's me and more like it's something that I'm going through. That difference of recognizing the difference between a thought and you is another one of those divisions of what kind of person are you. Number 5, don't believe everything you think. I think this is the starting point of a spiritual path or a self-growth path. When you start to realize that you have thoughts, you have beliefs, you have values that really don't serve you and probably have nothing to do with who you are. They have to do with your experiences, your upbringing, the things you've been exposed to. But as you start to grow on your spiritual path, you start to go, wait a minute, I don't really hate gay people. I'm not really embarrassed by this. I don't really. Now, sometimes it's much easier to recognize the belief than it is to get rid of it, but that's the first step. And then you become not at the mercy of these thoughts. The Dalai Lama and others, teach that in meditation, part of the process is when you have a thought, think of it like a cloud and just try to dissipate it, let it go away. It's not you, it's just a thought. And when you're having self-doubt and all those things, it's the same thing. You are that kind of discipline. I even made a graphic one time of myself holding a spear, because I visualized this guardian at my mind's gate that says, no, that thought is not welcome here. We don't want it. Move along, self-sabotage, move along. Number 6, learn discipline of your focus. There's an infinite number of things to pay attention to and a finite amount of moments in your life. And being aware that you have a choice in what you focus on is another one of the things that makes a huge difference. I'll sometimes see people like leaving a comment on a YouTube video, and they're this sucks, you're so stupid. And I'm like, you know how many videos there are on YouTube? You really watched a video that you didn't like, and then compose a thought about why you didn't like it and why you didn't like that person. Like, what a crazy use of your attention and your finite time as a conscious being on this planet. I understand that it does get tempting to get into righteous indignation, and sometimes that kind of fire can be fun and you can enjoy it, but I urge you to think about that and question it. Do I really want to be spending my attention on these things that don't make me happy, that don't make my life better, that don't make me closer to people or more in touch with who I am? Why am I spending time in this place? Number 7, avoid the trap of comparison. It is very easy to see people doing things in the world, friends, famous people, Facebook folks, Twitter, whatever, and feel like that is a measuring stick by which to measure you. And it is never a good thing. You are unique. You are perfect. You are exactly where you're supposed to be right now. I'll say it again. You are exactly where you're supposed to be right now. If you're hearing this, that timing is perfect. Your worth does not depend on you being better at something. I used to fall into a trap where if I saw I needed to be the best at things, and I still struggle with taking on hobbies or activities when it's so hard for me to suck when I begin at something. And so there's all these wonderful fun things that I have not been exposed to because I have been unwilling to suck. I don't know how to snowboard for that reason. From what I understand, it's very fun. But my inability to let go of that comparison, to that hot flush I feel when I see people doing something awesome and I suck at it, that's something I need to work on. Thank goodness I still have stuff to work on, because at 41, I hope I have some more years. Okay, and along that line, number 8 is everything has been done. I've had some severe dips in my life when I was exposed to something fantastic. A movie, a book, a screenplay, a website where I just went, I wish I made that. I wish I said that. But it's okay. Shakespeare pretty much wrote every story. You can pretty much map every movie to something that Shakespeare wrote. You can pretty much map every self-help saying to something that Buddha said. There's nothing new under the sun. That should not discourage you, because it's never been done by you. And you have a unique perspective. You have a unique voice. When I first read Pronoia by Rob Bresney, I went into a serious funk. I was like, this is the book that I wish I wrote. Now, instead of doing Hug Nation, I'm just going to post a link to his book. And then I saw some videos of him speaking, and I realized that he had a style very different from mine. And it became clear that, wait a minute, the same truths, the same stories are heard differently through different messengers. And so some people need to hear this, you are unique and perfect. They need to hear that from somebody wearing a suit, talking in southern sounds, you are perfect, says the Lord. Some people need to hear it from someone in a saffron robe saying, you are perfect, namaste. Some people need to hear it from a pink-haired guy who's a little off-kilter. All of these voices are not in competition. It is a chorus. They're all oarsmen on the same raft. We are not in competition with people when you are coming from expression and from heart. Number 9, your weakness can be your strength. If you let go of the comparisons and you just allow yourself to have the traits that are you, it's very possible that the things that society has called a weakness is actually something that is going to get you to where you need to be. I was so afraid of rejection when I was younger that I decided I was going to self-publish everything. And so I was totally driven to create all my web stuff in the early years from an insecurity, from a weakness on my part. And I look back and go, thank God I didn't waste away in Hollywood trying to be a script writer. It worked out perfect for me. I was able to hone my own voice and do something that was purely unique. And from at the time, and maybe still, it was because of weaknesses on my part. But it is that balance of weaknesses and strengths that makes us who we are and unique. And it is that whole picture that creates us who we are. The weaknesses are every bit as important. Maybe weakness is the wrong word. All right, number 10. This is a big one. The meaning of life is to experience life. And this was the epiphany that I got on the Turkish mountaintop when I was in college, and has been really the first sentence of anything that I've learned about life since then. Life, however many years we have here, is like a day pass at the zoo. And we're just charged with trying to check out as much as we can, appreciate what we can, try to leave it a little better, try to share the experience, and so from that place, try to say yes to as much as you can. You are here to experience the world. You are a nerve cell of the universe. Your consciousness, your senses. This is a fantastic, beyond belief place to be. In comparison to the vast majority of matter and space in the universe, you are equipped to receive in a way that is divine. And so, do it. Check it out. Say yes. Go places. Have adventures. Number 11, keep your options open until you don't. Growing up, that was a big thing for my parents was, keep your options open, keep your options open. And all through high school and most of college, I was really trying to do that, trying to do the things, get the certificates, take the classes, whatever it was that would give me the most opportunities. And then at a certain point in my life, I had to make some choices. And had to say, if I made this choice, that is definitely going to close some doors and burn some bridges. Specifically for me, the big time for me was when I got sort of involved in sex activism. I started to feel a strong call that the shame that we have in our culture around sexuality is significant, and that addressing that and trying to speak openly about that, and trying to break the chains of our shame was the most significant thing that I could do to make the world a better place. Now, being a sex activist, or even talking about sex, or masturbating, or letting people put cameras in your bathroom, in your bedroom, or whatever one might do in their pursuit of sex activism, is a dangerous social and cultural choice to make. And so even though the people all around me were saying, this is you're out there, don't do this, I felt called to do this. And so I went from keeping my options open to intentionally burning some bridges down. But I would say, if you're going to limit your options or burn bridges, do so led from the heart, not simply to take advantage of a situation or to advance yourself in some way. Not sure if that entirely makes sense, but don't burn a bridge unless it is the only way to maintain your integrity. Because if you close off options from a place of integrity, whatever is limited, I believe, will open up other things. And that has been my experience. So by very much limiting my opportunities, it forced me into very unusual, unique career places, adventures, to the point where, after going through these dark corners of human experience, and doing so with integrity, I was able to sit, in a room of NBC execs and say, I'm not the election broadcast ready person that you might be looking for. I have a history of this very adult stuff, and they said, well, that's just the kind of edgy thing we're looking for. And so that was a powerful thing for me, for the universe saying, you can close doors if you do so with integrity, because that integrity will open doors in the future. Now, number 12, when you are conflicted about a decision, when you're at a crossroads and you don't know what to do, try to figure out which is love and which is fear. I find that if I'm uncertain, I can usually figure out which of the choices I assign to love and which I assign to fear. Fear is often things that have been layered on top of me. Worry about finances, worry about perception, worry about my next career choice. Whereas if I find the one that is love, the one that feels like that's the right thing, that's what my heart wants to do, even if it's scary, I can then decide, I can choose at that moment, you know what, I know that it's fear that is making me take this job, but I'm doing so consciously. I'm doing so because I'm not ready to fully go into this path. I need to earn some more money, I need to learn a little bit more, whatever the case may be. But just simplifying it down to love fear is a powerful way to get through it. And I think that as you practice it, the universe will continue to remind you and reward you for going towards love, and so it becomes easier and easier to, once you discover which path that is, to charge in that direction. All right, I'm going to keep going. Number 13, make room for luck. I like to repeat the comment I saw on a message board once where someone was saying, oh, if I really just need to just look for the silver lining. And somebody wrote back and said, no, don't do that. If you look too hard for a silver lining, you'll miss it if it's gold. And so many of the amazing things that have happened in my life have been because I was open to opportunities. I allowed things that kind of flowed in front of me that seemed interesting. Even though it wasn't what I was looking for, I went, oh, let me try that. Sure, can I get on this raft with you guys? The reason I'm here right now can be traced back to being open to luck. I went to school in psychology. I was getting ready to go to grad school. I was working at a group home with emotionally disturbed kids as a counselor with them. I hated it. The only thing that made me happy during that time in my life was doing a zine. I had a little paper zine that I Xeroxed. So I quit my job after 2 years, and I went back to junior college to take design classes, early computer design classes, because I wanted to make my little zine better. I had no plan. I had no idea how this was going to make money. It's just I was following my heart. Do what you love, the money will follow. To which my brother always said, someone's going to pay me to masturbate? Later I found out that there's plenty of people that will pay you to masturbate, but that's another story. So while I was in junior college, I went to work at a call center, answering phones for this kind of distribution company that worked for all these different clients. And while I was there, I would share my zine with my coworkers, and one day I got called into the executive's office, and it was all these people in suits, and I got called in and they were holding my zine. They're like, is this yours? I'm like, yes. They're like, do you want to be answering phones your whole life? I'm like, no. So we keep hearing about this thing called the internet. So would you want to maybe learn about it? Maybe you put your little magazine on the web, and then once you learn how to do it, make us a company homepage? I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but if it means I'm getting off the call center floor, yes. At that time, I had already also kind of said yes to a bunch of things and actually created opportunities. At the time, there was no newsletter, so I said, can I make the newsletter? Because I enjoyed making my zine. And then from that, I got asked to be a trainer and all sorts of things, just saying yes, what can I do that's more fun? Anyway, this company that I worked for, because it was also a distribution company, and some of our clients were Sony and other gaming companies, so we were so early and so new to this that we actually were the first fulfillment and online mall for Sony. So I went from not knowing anything about computers, not even word processing, to being a webmaster. And at the time, that word was enough to make pretty much everybody laugh and ask where my robe and hood and staff was. Anyway, the point is, that led me into this path that I could never have imagined. I didn't know it existed. There was no internet. When I was in college, I allowed these opportunities as they were shiny things to keep following it. And that's not what I expected, but that's interesting. Let's follow that. That's interesting. Let's follow that. And as it felt good and I really enjoyed it, I put everything into it. And that just led to more and more and more and more and more. And sooner or later, here we are. And the internet has become a huge part of my life. And the cool thing about that whole story and process is that it became its own reinforcement. Now I have this faith in the flow of the universe. All of the good things in my life have happened when I allowed the flow to take me places. Nothing that's incredible that I love about my life happened because I made it happen. It's usually, it felt the flow going that way, and then I went with it and said, okay, that feels right. Okay, all right, I'll paddle with the current. Float more, steer less, let's go. Number 14, show up. Woody Allen says 80% of success is showing up. And that's huge. You have to try things. You have to deliver. You have to keep showing up. I'm here every Tuesday. Been doing that for 10 years. Some would argue that in 10 years, shouldn't you have more, whatever? But to me, the important thing wasn't what became of it. The important thing is in showing up. If you are a person who people know will show up, you become someone that people can depend on, and that's when you get more and more opportunities. Number 15, embrace death. This could be easier said than done depending on your experience, but if you fall into the cultural trap of, or the taboo of death, this huge elephant in the room is always there kind of taunting you, and you make decisions in the spell. I mean, if you're acquiring wealth as the end-all be-all of your life, you have not come to terms with death. You cannot bring that stuff with you. However, if you can recognize that everything is transitory, everyone will die, then it creates a richness into the now. It creates treasures out of every experience. And you know that everything is temporary. It makes the joys greater. I think it can diminish the pain of loss. I even use death, and this is, your mileage may vary, but I find that the thought of suicide to be a powerful tool for me. Whenever I feel like life is overwhelming, this is where I'm in life, I go, okay, I could kill myself and this would end. Okay, that sounds drastic. So then what else could I do? Okay, I could tattoo my face. Okay, that still sounds drastic, but I could do that. I could donate my kidneys and all my organs to someone who's in need. Okay, that's drastic, but it would do good in the world. Oh, okay, I could dedicate some of my life to a charity. Oh, look at that. Now I have choices. This would be a totally different life. Oh, I could go to school. I could take out a loan. I could hit the road with a backpack. Oh my gosh, all of a sudden, this trapped feeling of life that I don't like opens up when I compare it to the ultimate decision. So these are just like the things that popped in my head as I was starting to think about what I'm glad that I've learned and what has made life better, what things that I didn't really know or have a sense of when I graduated from college. And so hopefully they are things that either remind you or add to your practice or things that you can, cultivate. If you have your own, I would love to hear your lessons in the Facebook comments or the YouTube comments. Thank you for being a part of this sharing. I feel like I just unwrapped all my presents and now it's time to cut the cake. So thank you for being a part of my journey. Thank you for being the energetic excitement that helps me to focus my practice and keeps me on my life mat and keeps stretching. I'm wordlessly grateful. So wherever you are, let's grab ourselves by the shoulders. And whatever age your body is, thank it for those years of service. Be in awe of how by you throwing food in and water and the occasional vitamin, it somehow maintains itself, it heals itself, it replenishes itself, it grows, it fights off invaders. This is a living miracle. And be appreciative of all the experiences, all the sensations that you are able to ponder and have while in this body. And know that as this body takes you through your life adventure, you start to realize that there are parts of this personality, part of this I, that are not really you. It's a label, it's a role, it's a collection of beliefs that you picked up along the way. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can love that part of yourself, but know that deep down you are much more than that. You are an expression of pure light. You are a receptor of the divine organism. You are a wave in the cosmic sea. And everyone you meet is that too. No matter how much that perfect core of them is covered up in their story, however much they feel like they're in the way or you're in the way or they're an enemy, that deep down they are all on that same journey, figuring those same things out in very different ways. And even if they are annoying to no end, they are the perfect person for you to meet at that moment to teach you what you need to learn. Forgive them, thank them for the role they play in your journey, and forgive yourself for getting caught up in whatever it is that you got caught up in. It was part of your lesson too. So let's take a second and just sink into our true selves, our egoless selves, our connected selves. We have one perspective of vision, but we are a part of all. We are a piece of the human family. We are a piece of this planet. We are a piece of this cosmos. And in that, we are all of it. The lines we draw are arbitrary. So for a second, let's take a few breaths and just feel connected to this oneness. Let's breathe together. Inhale. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all the love warriors, happy Hug Nation. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for shining your light, seeking your truth. It is an honor to share this moment with you. I love you. Namaste.